Problem, we're given several radical expressions and we are to evaluate each using our graphing calculator. If there's no real solution, meaning the answer comes out to be a complex one, we are to write D and E for does not exist. When we do get an answer, we are to round our answers to 3 decimal places if necessary. The first one is actually pretty easy. If you go to your calculator, first thing you want to do is turn your calculator on. So hit the on key. First one's pretty simple. You type in 7. The square root here is right here in blue. On some of your TI products it might be a different color like yellow, but in any case you hit the second button to get the second feature of this button. Hit x squared, and the second feature of the x squared key is the square root, and we simply type in 81. Hopefully you know the square root of 81 is 9, and that 9 times 7 is 63, but if it were more complicated, we could type it in as follows. So simply just click in the field and type in 63. The next one's going to be a bit more complicated. On the next one we have 11, and this is being divided by the cube root of negative 27. So this will work even on your TI-83. I'm using 84, but this should work on the TI-83 as well. If you hit the math key, you'll be able to type in the third root. So I'm going to hit math, and it says the x root right there, or in this case if you want you could do third root by just doing option 4. So I'm going to hit number 4 to select cube root, and that's going to say 11 divided by the cube root, and we want the cube root of negative 27. So I'm going to hit negative 27. If your calculator is not in math print mode, then what you're going to want to do is to put parentheses around that. So before I had done any of this, you would have done parentheses negative 27, as some of your calculators in classic mode do not automatically extend the cube root, the radical, all the way to the right. So at any rate, you get an answer of negative 3.6 repeating to 3 decimal places. That would be negative 3.667. The next one, since we don't have a fifth root on our calculator, it's going to be slightly more complicated. On this one we go right to the fifth root, so you actually type the 5 first, then you hit the math key, and then this time I'm going to use option 5 for the xth root. But since we typed in 5, 5 is going to be replaced for x. So if I hit 5, it looks like this on this calculator. I'm going to do this in classic mode in a minute in case you don't have a calculator that looks like this. But then we are to type in positive 49 here, or alias negative 7 quantity squared. So I want the quantity negative 7 squared. In this particular calculator the parentheses wouldn't have been necessary, or actually it would have in fact. So I'm going to put parentheses around the negative 7 and square it to get the answer 2.178. So it's important to note that first digit is just that, a digit, not a decimal place. A decimal place is a digit to the right of the decimal. So 3 decimal places means to round this to 1, 7, and then since the 9 is bigger than 5, I'm going to make that an 8. So 2.178. Now the next one, I'm going to continue on in pretty print, or what they call math print mode, and then if you wait a few seconds at the end of the video I'll redo some of these using the classic view in case you have a classic a calculator that only does the classic view. So on this one we want the quantity cube root of 7 to the 5th power. So I need to start with the left parenthesis, then to get the cube root, math, you either use option 5 or option 4, but since option 4 is cube root, I'll select it. So I've got the quantity cube root of 7. Now I'm going to right arrow to get out of that radical, and then I'm going to right parenthesis and say all that needs to be raised to the 5th power by using caret and then 5. So the answer is going to be 25.615. 25.615. Now I'm going to go back and do a couple of these using the same calculator, but I'm going to put it in what's called classic print. So I'm going to hit mode and over to classic, and some of the older calculators, which aren't really that old, have no option but to be in classic mode. So you don't need to do what I just did, but suffice it to say things are going to work a little bit different. So on this problem, the 11 divided by the cube root, that all would be the same. You'd hit math 4 to get the cube root. This is where it differs. You don't have the property where the radical gets extended automatically. You need to tell it that the negative 27 is under the radical by putting it in parentheses. You should still get the same answer we got before. Let me show you how to do 5th root. It would be, let me see, you type the 5 first. It was math 5 to get the xth root. And again, think of notice it does look different. In math print, the x was actually physically replaced with 5. Here you just, even though it looks like the 5 is being multiplied, I hate this notation, but what this means is, with this command, is that x is being replaced with 5. So this is indeed the 5th root, and again, the radical symbol will not be extended to the right as I type. You need to tell it what's under the radical by using parentheses. So I'm going to type in -7, and then square it. Again, we should still get the same answer, 2.178. And then finally, the last one, since it's quick, left parenthesis, I want cube root, so that's math 4. And then we wanted just the 7 in there, and I need to tell it that the 7 is the only thing under the radical, so I'm going to right parenthesis, and then I'm going to put another set of parentheses to say this entire thing. So this left parenthesis and this right parenthesis way down here go together, saying the entire quantity that I've typed so far is being raised to the 5th power, which gives me the same answer we got before.